Hello, World History 1 students. This is Mr. Everton, and this is a video all about the geography of ancient Greece. This image here summarizes a lot of what I want to tell you about Greek geography today. You can see that these houses are built into the side of a hill, that the land is very uneven, rocky. You can also see that these houses are in a port city next to some water and that there are a lot of boats in the foreground. So we're going to be talking about a place with really rocky land that really relies on the sea or the ocean in order to get the things that it needs. Greece is located on a peninsula sticking out of the bottom of Europe, the southeastern corner of Europe, sticking out into the Mediterranean Sea. It's located between Italy and Asia Minor. And here is a zoom in on Greece. Here's a more detailed map. You can see the Mediterranean Sea, you can see Asia Minor and the Black Sea. As I go through these different geographic features, please write something about them other than just the name. The Balkan Peninsula is the main peninsula that makes up most of Greece. Remember, peninsula is land that is surrounded on three sides by water, but is attached to the rest of the continent in some way. Coming off of the Balkan Peninsula is the Peloponnesian Peninsula, which you will also hear me refer to as the Peloponnesus. Means the same thing. These two peninsulas make up Greece, and they are located just to the west of something called the Aegean Sea. The Aegean Sea is a sea that is surrounded in many ways on three sides by land. It's surrounded by Greece and Asia Minor, and it is connected to the Black Sea by a body of water called the Dardanelles. So you can see this really thin, narrow strip of water connecting the Aegean Sea to the Black Sea. So the Dardanelles will have a lot of strategic importance, which we'll discuss in a later video. When we talk about Greek civilization, we're talking about the polis. What's a polis? Why? It's an independent city-state. We've talked about city-states before. Remember, it's a government that is just running one city. And so Greece is made up of a bunch of independent city-states. They have different governments. Sparta's government is different from the government of Argos, is different from the government of Mycenae, different from the government of Thebes. But they have a shared culture. They speak the same language, Greek, imagine that. And they have shared religion, Greek mythology, which we will also discuss in a later video. They have shared a lot of the same kind of attitudes about the world, about trying to understand the world in a rational, thoughtful way. So this shared culture is called Hellenic culture. Hellenic just means Greek. It's a fancy word for Greek, but you need to know it. Hellenic culture is what binds these different city-states together. Here is a picture of a polis, a city-state. You can see that the town is surrounded by a city wall, and then up on the very top of the hill is something called the Acropolis, which is where most city-states would have a temple built to their patron god or goddess. And you can also see that they have a harbor, which helps to connect them to the Aegean Sea, where they are able to get many of their needs met. Let's talk about the mountainous terrain. As you can see pictured here, you could see pictured in an earlier slide. Mountainous terrain is going to limit the amount of arable farmland. Arable just means farmland, land that is suitable for farming. Not all land is good for farming. Not all land has the nutrients in the soil that plants need in order to grow. Also, not all land is made up of soil. Some land is very rocky and has lots of pebbles and stones and rocks in it that do not allow plants to grow either. Because the land of Greece is so rocky, you're going to find that many city-states have very little farming that they're able to accomplish in the mainland of Greece. Another important aspect of this mountainous terrain is that it isolates the city-states. It separates them from each other. It's the main reason why Greece was not for a long time a one single unified country, and why you had rivalries developing between the different city-states. Because there wasn't a whole lot of farmland, because they were separated from each other by mountains, they begin competing against each other for the land that is available. And so you end up with city-states like Sparta and Athens that don't get along with each other at all, and that are locked in rivalries trying to compete for the limited amounts of arable land that are there. So because the land is rocky and because there's not a whole lot of opportunities for farming, the Greek city-states have to turn outwards and they have to turn towards the sea. The Aegean Sea is where Greek city-states go in order to get their resources that they need. They end up building ships and setting sail to go trade with other cultures around the Mediterranean and around the Aegean. Over time, this leads to colonies. Colonies, remember, are when one culture sets up a new settlement in a new place that wasn't originally where they were from. This happens because of overpopulation. As the Greek city-states start to grow and prosper and develop, they end up with large populations that they cannot support with the amount of resources that they have. And so they establish these colonies, one, in an attempt to search for new arable land. They end up setting up colonies in the Black Sea region or on islands in the Aegean, where there is arable land available and where they are able to grow their own crops. And this is where I got stuck last time. There we go. All right. Colonies helped to affect Greece by spreading Hellenic culture. As the Greek city-states began to set up colonies, they set up Greek-style cities, Greek-style polises, in new places. They brought their religion and their language and other aspects of their culture there. It also facilitated trade. It allowed them to trade with new people. It allowed them to establish supply bases where they could restock ships and send them to new places in order to get the trade goods that they needed. And eventually it led Greece away from a barter economy. A barter economy is when you just trade goods. Like, here, I'm going to give you a cask of olive oil in exchange for a bushel of wheat. That's a barter economy, trading. But they replaced that with coins, and they began to use coins, which are a more effective way to run your economy. To summarize, Greek civilization was made up of independent city-states. An independent city-state in Greece is called the Polis. Greek city-states were established on the Balkan and Peloponnesian peninsulas. They relied on the Aegean Sea to trade and meet their many different needs, and they set up colonies around the Aegean Sea, around the Black Sea. Thanks very much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.